Hi, hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're doing well with whatever weather you're having, whether it's too much water or too much sun or too much heat or filthy air. Whatever is going on, I hope that you're tolerating it well, that you're doing a lot of good things to maintain your health, and we will continue on, and hopefully all of us will be healthy as the weather starts to improve. Well, I was interested in this article or this news media stuff that's come out. Donald Trump has now been given new charges about trying to hide the confidential, secret government papers after he was told that he should not do anything to them because the government wanted to inspect the papers, where they are and what they were. And as soon as he was told this, Donald Trump called up his favorite worker and said he was interested in clearing out all of that paperwork, all of this stuff that the government was interested in retrieving and so forth, and he wanted it gone. So his worker called another person who works for Trump, and they are seen, going into a tunnel and getting papers and moving things around and presumably changing them or destroying them or whatever. And so he's in trouble for that because he was told not to bother those papers. And as soon as he was told that, he went and bothered those papers, and it's presumed he was hiding them or destroying some of them or whatever he was doing. Maybe he's copying them. I don't know. But now he has this, and it's really curious that the people that are in trouble with Trump for this are two very low-level workers that he has around him at his home in Mar-A-Lago. And this reminded me of Epstein when he died in the jail, and the picture they have of his cell is full of sheets. I've never seen so many sheets. I mean, it's almost like they're saying, do you need more sheets to hang yourself? Do you need more sheets for a cover-up or whatever was going on there? And as you know, my theory is still that Epstein is not dead, that he underwent some procedures. They snuck him out of the prison, and I think he is somewhere on some island having had surgery and probably still enjoying life and living. However, getting back to Trump, so these underlings are now accused with Trump with hiding these government papers after they were told not to. Well, the interesting thing about Trump that I learned after he was introduced for this election in 2016 and before, is that Trump never liked to hire Americans at Mar-a-Lago. He did not feel they were good workers. And so even though his motto or campaign slogan was "Make America Great Again," he really was not interested in hiring Americans. And the people he hired at Mar-a-Lago were always people from out of the country who were here on special visas. And I think it's the H2B visa. So these people are totally dependent on Trump for getting into the United States. They're totally dependent on Trump for their jobs. And if they lose their visa employment, then of course they're going to be thrown out of the country. So these people are very, very dependent on Trump for everything, and they're very, very grateful that he was able to get them these jobs, not only in the United States, but at this fabulous resort where all of these famous people are coming, especially while he was president. So this is an article I'm going to read. This came from The Hill, and it talks about Trump getting these visas in order to hire foreign workers at Mar-A-Lago. Okay, the article reads, the Trump organization has won the permission to hire 70, that's 70, foreign workers to serve as maids, cooks, and servants for the 2017-2018 tourist season. Now, Mar-a-Lago is not a touring spot, so tourist season doesn't mean anything for Trump. I mean, he was president, but this was not a tourist space, and he was doing this well before he ever came into vision as possibly being president. And that was according to the data from the U.S. Labor Department. The Palm Beach Post reported Friday, and this was in 2017, that Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, won the permission after first applying for the H2B visas in July. The request was originally filed during Trump's Made in America week at the White House. Palm Beach's unemployment rate currently sits at 3.6%. A local job placement agency told the Post that there were plenty of local workers who would be eager to fill the positions. We currently have 5,136 qualified candidates in Palm Beach County for various hospitality positions listed in the Employ Florida State Jobs database. Career Source spokesman Tom Veenstra said Friday. The number of foreign workers hired by Mar-a-Lago is a slight increase from the 2016-2017 season, when the resort hired 64 foreign workers using H2B visas. Trump defended the practice during the GOP primary debate in March of last year. It's very, very hard to get people, Trump said. Other hotels do the exact same thing, but Trump wants to be president. When you want to be president, don't you hire your own people first? In September 2016, Trump told MSNBC's Morning Joe that getting help in Palm Beach during the season is almost impossible. To get the visas, employers must typically first establish that there are not enough American workers willing and able to fill the temporary positions in order to qualify for the H2B classification. Trump administration expanded the H2B program in July, saying it would offer an additional 15,000 visas because not enough American workers are willing or able to fill the country's employment needs for the rest of the fiscal year of 2017. So, do you really believe there weren't enough people in Palm Beach that would take a job as a maid or a cook or janitor at Mar-a-Lago? I mean, just the opportunity to work at such a nice place, to meet so many very important people, and to possibly, better your connections for an American. So the reason that he really wanted this H2B visa is because you have complete control over these people. It's almost like slavery. They have no options. They're not going to come in one day and say, I'm not going to work. They're only in the country because they work. If they stop working, if they make you mad, if you violate their boss's wishes or the boss's wife's wishes or Ivanka's wishes and make them mad, they can just cut your employment and you're out of the country immediately. So it's very much a control thing, and certainly you're not going to get that type of control over somebody who is an American citizen. But most people, I think, would be very loyal to Trump because they would just be happy for an opportunity, even if it's just for a season, say tourist season, to be able to go to work at such a nice place and to better your social contacts. So now we have these two employees of Trump, and they never mentioned whether they're H2B visa holders or what they are. But now they are in trouble with the federal government. They have to follow Trump because if they violate Trump's wishes, all he has to do is fire them and they're going to go. And even if the government tries to reassure them that they'll do well, they have no reason to keep them in the country because they've already lied to the FBI by saying they weren't trying to hide these confidential secret papers. So they're already in trouble, and they're already marked as people to be, sent out of the United States. So just like with Epstein, when the body of Epstein was found, and they tried to blame the security guards, the correctional officers, and these were two low-level correctional officers, both minorities, and they said they were otherwise distracted and not watching Epstein. Well, I can tell you, when you are a custody officer, there is nothing else to do. Somebody tried to say that they were busy ordering stuff on a computer or something like that. You are not allowed to bring computers into a federal prison if you are a custody officer. You will come to work with your uniform, whatever gear they have given you, and basically nothing else. Anything else would be similar to contraband. Anything you do on a government computer is tracked, and people are not in the federal government or the state government using government computers to order stuff. So that was all contrived. These two were set up to take the fall, and so this reminded me of Trump, where he has given direction to these people to get involved with this cover-up of these secret papers, and he wants them to take the fall. Now, Trump says he is going to pay for their lawyers, court fees. He's going to continue paying them wages. They're going to stay in his employ. They're going to have housing. They're going to be safe and so forth. But let's face it, if these two, or either one, says, I'm just going to tell the truth to the FBI, I'm not going to get all this negative stuff against my name, I'm just going to tell the truth, they're going to be immediately fired. And the lawyer, who is not loyal to these two underlings, but the lawyer is loyal to Trump because he's the one giving out all the jobs with all of these court cases, he's going to withdraw as the attorney for these people. They're not going to have any attorney. They're not going to have any protection from whatever the government wants to do to them. And Trump will, still blame them. They just won't have any lawyer to protect their side of what they want to say was going on. So I just think this is very bad. You have to be careful when you take a job. And this happens in a lot of foreign countries when people do take these low-level jobs to very important people, like a Shaw or one of the Arab leaders, or some really rich person who might be in Dubai or something. They get into trouble, they can blame the underling, and that underling can receive the punishment and even be killed in some of those countries. So you have to be very careful when you take these jobs, because if you are with a crooked employer or the employer's friends are crooked, you can end up in a lot of trouble. Now, there was a story about models. This was many years ago. I was told this, that models would get these great offers to go to these Arab countries, and they would say, come on over, we just want you to do this, that, or the other. And there were modeling jobs. I mean, the girls went over, according to the story, they went over for modeling jobs. They weren't going over as prostitutes or anything. But who knows? But they're supposed to be modeling jobs. And then, of course, when you get to these countries, they take your visa, your passport, immediately at the airport when you land. So your passport is confiscated, and then they go off and they do whatever type of work they were supposed to do. And then the girls complained because when they wanted to leave, that job was finished, they were not allowed to get their passports. Their passports had been confiscated by the government, and then they found they were now being held prisoner in that country. And their rules are, if there is a disagreement between the person who came into the country and a citizen of the country, the citizen has the right to hold up your passport until they feel that the dispute has been solved. So they can force you to do anything. And there was a black rap group who reported, and I can't remember who it was, but they said they went over to one of the Saudi countries and they had a concert they were supposed to play. So, of course, they get there and their passports are taken and so forth. So they play their concert, and they find they're in the same situation. They can't leave. They want them to play more above and beyond the contract. They want them to play more music and so forth. And so, kind of fearful because they realize they're in an awkward position, they accommodate, they do play some more, and they're just hopeful that things will work out, that they'll be able to get their passports, leave the country unharmed, and they'll just, chalk it up to experience. This is what happens when you go into some of these countries. Well, they did get their passports back. The musicians never reported anything negative except that they were exploited for their talents in the country and that they were held hostage. Because, like, if you make a deal, you say, okay, well, I'll do such and such for this amount of money, and then the person who's a citizen of the country says, no, you were supposed to only get this amount, much less than what you're asking. And then the visitor says, no, it was much more. That's a dispute that'll keep you in the country until that dispute is resolved. So the leverage is with the person who is a citizen of the country. So again, you have to be very careful when you visit these countries, and all of this stuff that they have on TV and on the internet about how great Dubai is and all of these other places. You have to realize that you are a captive of the country. Most recently, there was a black lady who was being held. She rented a car. She returned the car, and she was billed for more than she had anticipated. The dispute was, they said she owed more. She said, well, you're not going to get it. This is what we agreed on. This is what I'm going to pay. Well, she didn't get her passport. She was stuck in the country. So now, of course, she's paying hotel bills and food bills and whatever else, and probably lost her reservation on an airplane to go home. And she did not know that you cannot dispute anything against a citizen of the country. Once you're in there, once they have your passport, you are a captive inside the country. And the citizen has the law on his side. And you have to be very, very careful. Read the rules before you go to these countries and decide, is this really the place that you want your vacation? And are you ready if there are any disputes as to how you're going to handle them? Do you have enough money to handle a dispute in Dubai? You know, how much is it to get a Dubai lawyer? How many days is it going to take for you to get the dispute resolved? And on and on and on. So, and if they charge you too much and you don't have that amount of money in your account, you know, how are you going to pay the money that they say you owe? So I thought that was interesting with Trump, that he has now involved these underlings, these low-level workers in this whole FBI government espionage problem and cover up. And, you know, they're really at the mercy of Trump. They're really at the mercy of Trump, and they don't have really any alternatives. So what do you think? Have you had any bad dealings on a trip that you took outside of the United States where your passport was confiscated? If so, let me know. I'd be interested in hearing your story. Take care. Please like and subscribe. And I will talk to you later. Bye.